नमः सुन्दरनाथाय तस्मै हालास्य वासिने चतुष्षष्टि विधालीला येनाकारे भुवस्थले श्रीमत्सुन्दरनाथस्य देवीं शफरलोचनां कलये हृदये नित्यं कदम्ब वनवासिनीं पूतं स्वतः पूततरं ततो यद्गङ्गम्पयः शङ्करमौलिसङ्गा तत्पातु मातुः प्रणयापराधपादाहतैः पूततमं ततो नः अविचिन्त्यम् अदृष्टम् अश्रुतं च त्रिषु लोकेष्वपि दिव्यलिङ्गमेतत् विकचैर्नयनोत्पलैर्विडौजाः Vichakara Prathamopahara Hetoho. I think we finished with the 51. Let me give a small recap of what happened. Indra approached that Kadambavanam, and the moment as he entered the Kadambavanam, he got down from his Airavatam. A lot of elephants which were there, they saw that this Divya elephant had come there, the divine elephant of Airavata had come there, and so many wild animals came to either see Airavatam and Indra. Indrastu tatra trilokadhipatihi asti iti swayam saha eva atra padbhyam agacchati iti sarve atra agatya tadrashtum agataha. So they all came there to see how the king of all the three worlds had come there to this Vanam, which is Bhumi. See, all said and done, from when compared to Sarga, the Bhumi is not so luxurious or anything, and so people were very utsavam madri. So somebody who has not visited is suddenly visiting, then it becomes an utsavam in that place. So Kadambavanam was also like an utsavam at that point. So a lot of people came to see how Indra had come with his Airavatam. And then there was these Rishi Ganas and Pashupatas, the devotees of Shiva. So Pathi Vikshitavadbihi Adarena Pramathaihi. He was seen by all these Pramatha Ganas and Rishis who were all also going in that Kadambavanam to see the Sundaresha Linga. So Indra, they saw Indra who had got down from Airavata, and he was also walking with the rest of them. So the Pramatha Ganas took him to the proper place. They took him near. Just as how one big personality comes, he may not know the way, or even if he knows the way, there are some 15 other people who will go with him to show him the way to the place that he wants to go, right? So in the same manner here also with Indra, a lot of these Pramataganas and Pashupati Bhaktaha api tatra tam aniya, they took him to Sundareshwara Sannidhi there. And they took him because they knew that he was pavitram after doing so many penances over the past few months. He had come down to Bhumi, and whatever temple he saw, whichever tirthastalam he saw, everywhere he followed that vratam, he did the snanam in that tirthastalam. So he was already purified because of the penance that he was following. So the Pashupati Bhaktas also recognized him and took him to this lingam. Now when Indra saw this lingam, what was his reaction? The Kavi tries to imagine, because Indra, even though he is Bidaujaha, the word itself is very interesting. Veveshti iti vit, Veveshti athava vyapnoti, one who is omnipresent, one who envelops every place, right? Vishnu ityarthe, that's why a lot of common words you will find for both Indra and Vishnu. So vit ityukte vyapnoti sarvatra iti. So one who has seen a lot of places. And his ojaha, his balam also extends to a lot of places. So bidaujaha ityukte yasya balam sarvatra vyapnoti, one who has a strength which extends everywhere. Tari saha sarvatra gatva sarvam prayaha drishtavaneva parantu tastena, he has not seen this sort of a lingam, divyam lingam. Avichintyam, that which is completely unthinkable, is something that he had not seen before. Adrishtam, ashrutam, he had not heard of it also before. The news traveled to Sarga. this about this Kadambavanam and Sundareshalinga, the news had traveled to Swargam. Yes, and many people came there. Many times, if you see about news, we only want to hear what we want to hear, or what is distant that we have to hear, right? So we don't get to hear every little news that comes across our path. We are able to grasp only certain things. Only some things come to our ears also. The same way, even this news about this lingam, even if it had reached Swargam, it's very rare that Indra may have paid attention to this. There are many lingas in Bhumi. There are many places where Shivasthalam are important. This is one of those. He might have just considered it like that. He may not have given attention to it. But now he realizes that this place is very unique. So, avichintyam, adrishtam, ashrutam cha trishu lokeshu divyalingam etate. This the divine linga, which is neither comprehended by anybody before avichintyam, as adrishtam, ashrutam, it was not heard also in all the three worlds. So immediately what will he do? He will see it with all of his 1,000 eyes. Vikachaihi nayanotpalaihi. He saw that lingam, and pratamopahara hetoho vichakara, all of his eyes. He offered his eyes as an offering to that lingam, as the first offering to that lingam. Prathama upahara hetoho. So as the first offering, he offered his own eyes. Tari nayanotpalaihi, vikachaihi nayanotpalaihi, with full bloomed eyes, he looked at it, and it, because it resembled a lotus, only if it is a lotus you can actually offer it to the Lord. If it is just the eyes, you can't. Ellaru kannapparayida mudiyade. No, not everybody is a kannapanayanar. So he, or Vishnu for that matter. Vishnu, then he was doing Archana. There was 99, he had 99 lotuses, but then one was less. So he offered his own Pankajanetraha Saha iti karanat. He offered his own eye as a lotus there. Everybody cannot be like that. Here, Indra saw, and the poet thinks that this is like the first offering. The moment you see Pushpanjalimbo, even in dance, the first thing you do, an offering for dance, is also Pushpanjali. Pushpa upaharaha eva prathama upaharaha, upayanam. In the same way here also, Indra saw him with all of his 1,000 eyes, which were full bloomed. Saha animeshaha eva. He cannot close his eyes. At the same time, he is so, it's like as if he has offered 1,000 flowers to Shiva the moment he saw him. So, avichintyam, adrishtam, ashrutam cha trishu lokeshu api divyalingam etat vikachairnayanotpalaihi bidaujaha vichakara prathamopahara hetoho. The next one, pramadashru pariplutaihi tadanim nayanaira charanagram alalatam Dravatam pratipadya bhakti yogat dadrishe varimayi iva tasya murtihi. His whole form, he had, the moment he saw, all of his 1,000 eyes started tearing up. Pramada ashru pariplutaihi nayanaihi. Tadanim, at that point, Sundareshwarasya alokana samaye, tadanim acharana agram. Lalatam. Lalatam is forehead. Charanagram is from the tip of his charanam. So from the tip of his feet to the tip of his forehead, lalatam, lalata paryantam. Both are maryada here, right? Not maryada, abhividhi. Abhividhi is inclusive. It includes the lalatam also and the charanam. So he has 1,000 eyes all over his body, which means he has eyes starting from the tip of his foot to the forehead. So, charanagram, charanagrat iti charanagram. So, if you write it separately, then it is charanasya agrat, from the tip of his feet. So that's why the fifth vibhakti, but when you join it in a samasta padam, it takes on the second vibhakti, right? So acharanagram, or not avyayi bhava samasa, it becomes avyayi bhava. Now lalatam again is lalata paryantam, tatra phala paryantam, yani nayanani vidyante, te sarve tani sarvani api nayanani. Pramada ashru pariplutani abhuvan. So all of those eyes which were there from the tip of his charanam to the forehead, all of those eyes, 1,000 eyes, pramada ashru pariplutaihi nayanaihi. Pramadaha, harshaha, pramadaha, all of these are for happiness. So pramada, because of happiness, ashru, he had tears, pariplutam, it was completely paripurnam. So all of his eyes, nayanaihi, which were pariplutam, completely filled with the ashru, tears that came out of happiness. Now, dravatam, bhakti yogat, because of bhakti yoga, dravatam pratipadya, tasya murtihi, the nayanaihi, dravatam pratipadya, it took on a, it seemed to have melted. Okay, dravatam pratipadya, his form seemed to have melted. It took on the bhavam of drava, liquid form. So it attained a liquid form, his entire form, his murti, shariram. His body took on a melted form and looked like as if it was made of water. Varimayi iva dadrishe, dadrishe anyahi dadrishe. Ye tatra asanna, all those Pramathaganas and the rishis who took him towards this Sundaralingam, the moment he saw that lingam, they saw that his eyes were filled with water, and because of that, it seemed as if his entire body was made of water itself. Varimayi iva tasya murtihi abhavat. They saw it like that. Bhakti yogat. This is a very, and bhakti yogat dravatam pratipadya. This part is very important. Because it's not a randomly put phrase here, just as a, it is not to show his poetic poesy or his imagination, nothing of that sort. That dravatam pratipadya and because of bhakti yoga is a technical term which Madhusudana Saraswati uses in his Bhakti Rasayana. He says, let me see if I have the quotation. Yeah. Dhrutasya bhagavad dharmat dharavahikatam gata sarveshe manasaha vrittihi bhaktihi iti abhidiyate chitta dravyam tu jatuvat swabhavat kathinatmakam tapakaihi vishayaihi yoge dravatvam pratipadyate. Nilakanta Dikshita uses the exact same words that are there used by Madhusudana Saraswati. So this is this is an observation about a person who is affected by bhakti in him. So Bhagavad Dharmat Dharavahikatam Gata Dhrutasya Bhagavad Dharmat Dhrutasya Kaschana Kasyachana Janasya Dharavahikatam Gata Ka Sarveshe Manasaha Vrittihi. A manovritti which is filled with that Isha, Sarveshasya, Sarveshe Manasaha Vrittihi, the thought process wherein Bhagavan resides, that thought process slowly it starts flowing in a very continuous manner. Dharavahikatam gata. When does it attain this state? It attains this state only when the Bhagavad Dharmam comes in. Bhagavad Dharmat. What is this Bhagavad Dharma? We have to go a few shlokas later. I didn't make a note of those shlokas. Prathamam Mahatam Seva. So the process with which this Bhagavad Dharma is achieved is first Mahatam Seva. If you look at the process that Indra went through in the few shlokas that were there before, you will understand that he had all of these things. Right? Prathame Mahatam Seva, the Prathamam Mahatam Seva. First, he had to serve the great people, Tad Daya Patrata Tataha, and then they showed their Daya, compassion. Even the rishis who saw that he was Vrata Achari Saha iti Drishtva eva tam Sundaralingasya Samipam Anitavantaha. So they brought him because they saw his, and they showed their compassion towards him because they saw that he was doing seva to great people here. So Mahatam Seva, then Tad Daya Patrata. Next process is you come under the compassionate gaze of those great people. The next is Shraddha Atha Tesham Dharmeshu. Then you have a devotion towards what they have said. Yad Yad Vratam. Whoever said any Vratam, he used to perform that. Whichever Brahmin he saw, he would give Dhanam for them. We saw that shloka, if you remember. So, which means he had so much of shraddha towards anybody who was willing to give him an advice about his what he has to do, what vratam he has to do. So, he had a shraddha towards the dharmam that had to be followed. So, shraddha ata tesham dharmeshu. Next is Tataha Hariguna Shrutihi, because Madhusudana Saraswati's Ishtadevata is Hari and Vishnu. He says Hariguna Shrutihi. Atratu Shivaguna Shrutihi Ityapi Prayaha Bhavedeva. So he must have listened to so many kathas, right, about Shiva. And that's why he went to each and every Shiva sthalam and prayed to Parameshwara there. So Tatva Hariguna Shrutihi Ityukte Ishtadevatayaha Gunanam Shrutihi, listening to the katha or gunam of your devata. Tataha ratyankura utpattihi. There is an attachment or an affection towards the listening to that katha, Shravanam. There is an affection there. And then Swarupa Adhigatihi. You understand what is the Nityanitya Vastu Vivekaha. In the sense, you understand which is Nityam, your Atma Swarupam. You understand your reality and you understand what is eternal and what is non-eternal. Tadanantaram prema vriddhihi paranande. Paranande. In that supreme bliss, there is a liking towards that supreme bliss, and it slowly increases that prema bhavam in your mind. Tasya atha spuranam. Tasya spuranam ityukte bhagavataha spuranam manasi jayate. You understand your real nature, which is jnanam, and then you want to be in that jnana swarupam, which is ananda swarupam. That is where the prema starts, and then there is a constant spuranam of Bhagavan in your mind. That Bhagavad Dharma Nishtha, then it becomes really established. Slowly it will start throbbing, and then there is a steady light. That steady light is called Bhagavad Dharma, which is what is mentioned here. So because Indra had that Bhagavad Dharmam in him, then Premnaha ata paramakashta bhakti bhumika ityudita. So then he says, this state where there is a constant flame, which is not throbbing or anything flickering, it's a constant steady flame of Bhagavan. That is called Bhagavad Dharma. And Bhagavad Dharmat Drutasya Dharavahikatam Gata. Now then there is a melting of that Manasaha Vritti. That Mano Vritti is a constant Mano Vritti. You can only imagine it to a certain extent. Only when you start feeling that in your mind constantly, it's an experiential thing. It's not something that you can explain. I think Madhusudana Saraswati is the only person probably who has come closest to explaining what happens at that point. Otherwise, Tamil, we have a saying, it says, Vindavar Kandilai, Kandavar Vindilai. Vindavar, one who Kandilai. One who tries to explain it has not seen it, has not experienced it. One who has seen it cannot explain it because it is vacham agocharam. That's the state at which it is. You'll have to experience it in some way or the other, at least 1%, for you to even say, okay, I'll have to magnify this 1% some 1,000 times for that Paramanandam to, even intellectually understand that. So Dhrutasya Bhagavad Dharmasya Dharavahikatam Gata Sarveshe Manaso Vrittihi Bhaktihi iti Avidiyate. This sort of a manovritti where there is a steady flow of Bhagavad Chintana, that is called Bhakti. Now, so there is a steady flow now. When do we get to the state of this Dravatvam? When is it a liquid form there? So Chitta Dravyam Jatuvat. He says the mind is like a Jatu. Jatu is wax. When you have Tapa Vishayam, some heat that you show to wax, it immediately melts, right? So you will go through your normal activities. Even a Jivan Mukta, even a great Bhakta, it will go through his normal activities, but there will be some external tapakam which will immediately make that wax melt. The mind is like a wax. So Chitta Dravyam hi Jatuvat. Swabhavat katinatmakam. By nature, it is very hard. The wax is very hard in its normal state. Tapakaihi vishayaihi yoge. When it has an association of things that can make it melt. Tapakaihi vishayaihi yoge. Dravatvam pratipadyate. It takes on it has that viscosity. It just starts melting slowly. That is what happened to Indra at this state here. Pramada. So the moment he saw, and all of his eyes were at that place, he immediately understood it because that Bhagavad Dharmam was there in his mind, and hence he had bhakti in his mind. So bhakti yogat, dravatam pratipadya, his mind immediately or his form started melting, and the external indications of that was all of his 1,000 eyes were filled with ashru. So imagine how much of thought is there. So that rasam, this is a perfect example of bhakti as the final rasam. There is no shringara, hasya, karuna, veera, none of these things are there. But there is that final, that supreme bliss with which he understands that lingam, and immediately there is an external manifestation of that rasam also. And there is a chitta dravatvam also happening. And this is all because of bhakti. In Kavyam, we don't accept bhakti as the final rasam there. There are only Shringara, Hasya, Karuna, Veera, Bhayanaka and all that. When you come to bhakti, it is pushed to a bhava, this thing. It's not taken as rasam. So the text that from where I quoted Madhusudana Saraswati, he tries to establish that bhakti is the only rasam that can be the final thing, which we have not understood, is what I say. See, in Natyam, you cannot show bhakti as much because it's such a supreme state which cannot be explained. Right? He tries to establish that all these navarasas are with the worldly, whereas this is beyond the world, and this is something very, very experiential. So bhakti should be the ultimate rasam, he says. So pramadashru pariplutaihi tadanim nayanaihi acharanagram alalatam dravatam pratipadya bhakti yogat dadrishe varimayi iva tasya murtihi. So tasya murtihi, his form was seen like as if it was filled with water, varimayi, or it was made of water. So there is a jala dravata samyam between Indra Murti and Jalam. Hence, there is a Swarupa Utpreksha here. Okay. Atha Dandavat Anatasya Shambhau Dadrishe Drishtimayi Tanuho Maghonaha Upahara Krite Puro Vikirna Vikachendivara Malikeva Ditya. So he immediately falls at the feet of that lingam. So Shambhau, Shambhu Vishaye, atava in front of Shambhu. Okay, Shive, tat sannidhau ityartaha. Okay, Shivasya sannidhau, atha linga darshananantaram. After seeing, immediately he was filled with water and he was so happy. And then he fell in front of Shiva there. So Shambhau Dandavat Anatasya Maghonaha. He Anatasya, who had done Namaskaram. Indra Maghonaha. Maghavan is the word here. Maghonaha is Shashti Vibhakti. Maghava, Maghavano, Maghavanaha. Maghonaha is the Shashti Vibhakti there. It is an epithet for Indra. It's another Paryayavachi for Indra. It would be a nice thing to take a list of what are all the names that he has used for Indra. Right? Chakraha, Purandaraha, Bidaujaha, Maghonaha, Harihi. He has used so many words for Indra here. Dandavat Anatasya Maghonaha Drishtimayi Tanuhu, his form which was filled with ice, which had a lot of ice, that is, it had 1,000 eyes. Drishtimayi Tanuhu, his entire body was filled with Prachura Drishtihi Yasya iti Drishtimayi Tanuhu, his form. Everybody who were there, when they saw that he had done a namaskaram falling flat like a stick, dandavat, Dandavat, and the Dandam Samarpitimba in Vaishnava Sampradaya, it is a very common usage there. Dandam Samarpitte, that is, they fall like a stick on the ground, right? So Dandavat Anatasya. One Indra who had fallen down in front of Shambhu like a stick. People around, they saw his body, Drishtimayi Tanuhu Dadrishe. It was seen by everybody like a mala. So imagine that someone has placed a lotus garland in front of Shiva there. So Shivalingam is present, and then Indra has just fallen down. The whole of his body has full of eyes, and each of those eyes are looking like flowers. Right? So, Puraha Vikirna, it's as if a big mala has been spread in front of Shiva. There is a flower arrangement that has been done in front of the lingam here. Pookolam grolya. During Onam, a lot of people do this pookolam. They do a rangoli, they do a kolam of, not rangoli, it's a kolam of flowers there. So Vikacha Indivara Malika Iva Divya. He is a Divya Purusha. So Eva, he is the Adipati of all three worlds also. So even the eyes which look like lotuses are like a divine garland that is spread in front of the lingam as an offering. So fully bloomed Indivara. Indivara is blue lotus. So Vikacha, bloomed blue lotuses, Indivara, Malika Iva, like a garland of fully blossomed blue lotuses, which had been Purovikirna, which have been spread in front of the lingam. For what? Upahara Krite. As an Upaharam. Tasmai upayana danaya upahara krite. In order to give him upaharam karoti iti upahara krite. So tasmai upayana danaya. In order to give him an offering, give the Shambhu an offering, it was as if all of his eyes looked like as if it was a garland of lotuses spread in front of him. Okay. So, atha dandavat anatasya. This is also swarupotriksha. So, eyes are usually more dark in color when they are with the eyelashes and everything. It seems like a dark colored lotus, a blue lotus. Usually, blue lotuses are tinged with blue, and there is a white inside. So it's like the iris, and you have. It's shaped like an eye also. So it's a Swarupotpreksha here. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah. Atha Dandavad Anatasya Shambhav Dadrishe Drishtimayi Tanuhu Maghonaha Upahara Krite Puro Vikirna Vikachendivara Malikeva Divya. After he did Namaskaram, now people who have lofty ideas. Those who are very small, our buddhi will also be small, and we will only think of offering one flower to them. He has offered 1,000 flowers here. So imagine how much he must think, what the magnitude or the lofty ideas that he must have to how to perform the puja for Shiva. Saganam, Savrisham, Sanandikesham, Sasutam, Sambamapi Prabhum Tamadyam, Paripujayitum Chakanksha, Shakraha, Mahatameva, Manorathopi Tavan. Shakraha Indraha. Again, another word for Indra here. Shakraha, Tam Adyam Prabhum, Paripujayitum Chakanksha. Chakanksha, he wished. Kankshate ityasya litlakare tatra. Sorry. Paripujayitum chakanksha. Saha pujam kartum archanaya sevitum aichhat chakanksha. So he wished to worship this master. Adyam Prabhum. Tam Adyam Prabhum. Tam ityukte tam divya lingam. Lingarupena, archavatara rupena, yaha atra vartate kadambavane. Tam Prabhum. Adyam Prabhum. This Adi Prabhu, just as how we say Vishnu is the Adyaf Purushaha, Tatha Atrapi Adyaf Prabhu Shivaha Eva. They are the first forms that came out of Brahman, right? For each and every work that had to be done. So in the same way, he is also Adhyaha, Pradhanaha, Prabhuhu, Ishvaraha. And in Agha, in his removal of his papam, Agha Vimochane, Eshaha eva Adya Prabhu, because he is the Pradhana Purushaha to remove Indra's sins. So Indra wished to do puja for this Ishvara. So Adyam Prabhum, but how did he want to do this puja for this Ishvara? Not just Ekaki. Saha Ekaki pujam vidhatum naichat. He wanted the entire host there. Like an Utsavam he wanted to do. The royal ideas, right? He has a noble heart and he's also a king there. So he has to think in that manner. He can't think like a Sadharana Purusha here or a person who has just one family here. His idea itself is grand. Saganam, Savrisham, Sanandikesham, Sasutam, Sasambam. Sorry, Sambam, along with Amba. First is Ganam, with all of the Parshada Ganaha. All of his Ganas have to be there. His Brishabha Vahanam, Nija Vahanena, Rishabhena Saha, Api, Tadanantaram Nandikeshaha. So Nandikesha also should be there. Nandikeshwara is the Pradhana Ganadhipati there. Shiva Gananam Adhipatihi in one case, because he is like the guard for Shiva. He is like the personal assistant for Shiva. So Nandikesha also should be there. Brishabha Vahanam, his Vahanam should also be there. All the Ganas should also be there. Sasutam, with his children, two boys, right? So Kumara Gananathabhyam Sahitam Tam Sambam Ambayasaha Parvatya Sahitam Api Tam Paripujaitum. So only Linga is there, it is not enough for Indra to worship. He wanted to worship that master in his full royalty, along with his attendants, his vehicle, Nandikeshwara, both his sons, and his consort. When I imagine this, I can only think of Kabaligoval Utsavam, because I've grown up seeing that every year. You need that Adhikara Nandi in the beginning, and then you'll have the Rishabha Vahanam. And for everything, it'll start off with Pullayar there, and then Kartikeya will come after that, Subramanya Swami will come. Then Bhagavan with Ambal. That sort of I think his vision was very grand there. That's why Nilakanta Dikshita also gives this beautiful Arthantaranyasa at the end. He says, Mahatam Manoratha Tavaneva. His Tavanapi Manoratha. Mahatameva. The way you understand this sentence here is Mahatameva. Only for great people. Manoratha Tavan. They will have such a great wish. Only great people will have such a wish. Tavan Manoratha. Tavan, you should understand it as grand in your mind. Yavan Manasi Udhayati. Whatever comes to the mind, they will want to create that immediately. Only for great people. Natu Kshudranam evam Manoratha bhavati. Kevalam Mahatam eva, Mahatmanam eva. Mahatam is one aspect. Here it is, we are talking about Indra himself. So imagine how great his Manoratham should be. Okay, in your mind, you can imagine the Ganas, you can imagine Vrishabha Vahanam, you can imagine Nandikeshwara also there, and then the Sarvatra, Sarvesham api Angushtamatram Tatra Manasi Dhyatva Tatra Tadapi Kartum Shakyate eva. He could have done that, right? Dahara Kashe, you can place each and every small Nandikeshwara inside, small Vahanam also inside, and then you can do your own puja in the mind. But that is not his wish here. Immediately he will think of Vishwakarma, build a temple with all of these Parivara Ganas, and it is a grand gesture there. Right? He's Indra. So Saganam, along with his Ganas, Savrisham, with his vehicle, the Vrishabham, and then Sanandikesham, with the Nandi, his two sons, Satusutam, Sambam, along with Parvati, Adyam Prabhum Tam Paripujayitum Chakanksha. Indra wished to do worship to that first master along with all of these people. Mahatameva Natu Kshudranam. So only for great people, Tavan Manoratha Bhavati. Such a great Abhilasha can exist only for great people. Not for normal people cannot have this. So this is usual Arthantaranyasa. So it shows that Indra is a great person there. And so immediately when he saw that lingam, his thinking was also grand. Saganam, Savrisham, Sanandikesham, Sasutam, Sambamapi Prabhum, Tam Adyam, Paripujayitum Chakanksha Shakro, Mahatameva Manorathopi Tavan. Now he immediately thinks of Vishwakarma, Indra Shilpi. He has to bring someone here to build that, to materialize whatever he thought of. He had the wherewithal for that. We may think of something, now we'll have to gather people around and then collect donation and ask for, the Shilpi's date, time and everything. None of that thing here. Indra. Smrita Sannihitaha Atha Vishwakarma. The moment Indra thought of Vishwakarma, he was present. Smrita Sannihito Atha Vishwakarma Sahadivyena Purodhasa Tadanim Shirasa Pratigrihya Varturajñam Ayatishta Ayatanaya Chandramaulehe. The moment he thought of Vishwakarma, there he was present. Smritaha Purvam Smritaha Paschat Sannihitaha. Usually, this sort of this thing is it's a very there is a particular sutram for this word here. Purvakala eka sarva jarat purana nava kevalaha samanadhikaranena is the sutram there. It is 2149. So according to the sutra, two things that happened, one happened before and then the next one happened later. For example, Puranam, the word Purana itself, that word is a nipatam there. Pura api navam, puracha navamcha. Here, smritaha cha, sannihitaha cha. Smritam must have happened first and then sannihitaha. So, one who was thought of before and then one who had arrived later. So, smrita, sannihitaha. Sannihitaha, one who had come there. Right? After being remembered by Indra, Indrena smritaha yaha, yascha paschat Indra sannihitaha asit, one who had also come and stood near Indra. Tadrishaha Vishwakarma. So this is an adjective to Vishwakarma here. So Vishwakarma, who had arrived immediately after being, so there is no gap there. Even if there is gap, it is said in such a manner that it is as if the moment he thought of it, Vishwakarma was present. Idliyum Kumara Sambathliyum, Indra thinks of Manmatha and then he is there. Atha Lalita Yoshit Brulata Chapaha iti. நினைச்ச மாத்திரத்துல அப்படியே வந்து மன்மதன் அங்க நின்னா அப்படின்னு வரும். மறந்து போயிடுது அந்த ஸ்லோகம். It's in the end of second sarga and the beginning of the first shloka, the third sarga. So the end of the second sarga of Kumara Sambhava has two shlokas where the first one, Indra thinks about Manmatha. He thinks that, okay, this is only Manmatha can do this work. And then the next moment, he enters with Rati and Madhumekam eva sahayam dhritva saha antaha agacchati iti, deva sabham agacchati iti. In the same way, so Indra has that royalty, he has that power in him, right? So the moment he thinks about it, Vishwakarma is present there. That's it. There is no appointment fixing and all. Whether I am doing some work here or not, let me look at my calendar. Tadrisham nasti eva. The moment he thought about it, Vishwakarma was present. So, Smrita Sannihitaha Vishwakarma Purodhasa Saha Sannihitaha. So, he came along with the Purohit also, which is Brihaspati here. So, Purodhasa Brihaspatina Saha Tadanim Vishwakarma, he came there because Purohitaha has to tell him exactly how things have to be, and they both have to consult and do the construction of the temple. So a lot of things, the Shivacharya, here, even today, that is the tradition. When there is a temple construction that has to be happened, the sculptor, the sthapati has the vision in place. He knows the things and everything. He knows the practical part of it. But there is another theory part of it also, which the Shivacharya has the Agama knowledge, and they will have to combine with the sthapati to make the temple happen. So that's what happens here, because Purodhasa, along with Brihaspati, Vishwakarma came there. Divyena Purodhasa, along with the divine preceptor Brihaspati, Smrita Sannihitaha, he arrived being remembered by Indra. Now what happened? He received the orders from Indra. So the moment Vishwakarma came there, Indra said, okay, I want to worship Saganam, Savrasham, Sanandikesham, Sambam, Sasutam, Paripujayitum Ichchami iti. He probably told that, and so Vishwakarma decided he will start the temple construction. So Shirasa Bhartuhu Agnyam Pratigrihya, taking the orders of receiving the command of his lord, of his master's command on his head, literally, literally, figuratively. So Shirasa Pratigrihya, இது வந்து தமிழ்ல சிரமேற்கொண்டு அப்படிங்கிறது is a very common usage in Tamil, in southern languages. So Shirasa Bhartuhu Agnyam Pratigrihya, taking the master's command on his head. That is Malyamiva Grihitva iti. You take it as if it's like a garland on your head. You're just waiting to receive the master's command and to do something for him. Right? So Bhartuhu Agnyam Shirasa Pratigrihya, taking the command, receiving the command. Chandramaulehe Ayatanaya Ayatishta. Chandramaulehe Ayatanaya, in order to build Ayatanam Nirmatum, tan Nirmana Karmani iti. Usually Tumun, instead of Tumun, you can have the Chaturthi Vibhakti there. Tadarthyam, right? So, like Nrisimham Anukulayitum, Nrisimhaya Namaha. When you say Nrisimhaya Namaha, it's actually, right, or Nrisimhaya Namaskaromi, then you can say Nrisimham Anukulayitum Namaskaromi. I am doing a namaskara in order to please Nrisimha. The same way, Atrapi, Ayatanaya Ayatishta. Ayatishta is Lung Lakara for Yat Dhatu. So, Ayatishta, Yatate, right? Yatate is the Lat Lakara. Lung is Ayatishta. He made an effort for the temple. So, which means Ayatanam Nirmatum Ayatishta. He made an effort to build the temple of Chandramouli. Okay. Smrita Sannihito Atha Vishwakarma Sahadivyena Purodhasa Tadanim Shirasa Pratigrihya Bhartuhu Agnyam Ayatishta Ayatanaya Chandramoulehe. The next one. Vidhritam Karibihi Vimana Rupam Vipulam Prakpratiharameka Bhumam Shikharol Likhita Ambaram Sashilpi Vidadhe Garbhagriham Shubhe Vilagne. So Karibihi Vidritam Vimanam Saha Shilpi, that Shilpi, Vishwakarma is the Deva Shilpi here, is the divine sculptor. So Vishwakarma Saha Shubhe Vilagne. Shubhe Vilagnam is Muhurtam. So at Shubhe Shobhane Muhurte ella solrolya, in a proper Muhurta Lagnam and all that. So here also Shubhe Vilagne. Vilagnam ityukte Muhurtam. So in the Mangala Muhurta, at an auspicious time, the sculptor Saha Shilpi Karibihi Vidritam Vipulam Vimana Rupam Prak Pratiharam Eka Bhumim Shikhara Ullikita Ambaram Garbhagriham Vidade. So Sashilpi Garbhagriham Vidade. Vidade, he created or he constructed a Garbhagriha, an inner sanctum, at the proper time. Shubher Vilagne. How was it? Prak Pratiharam. Pratihara is entrance. It had an entrance to the Prak, Prachi Dik. So Prachyam Dishi Pratiharaha Yasya. Tat. Every one of those is an adjective to Garbhagriham, which is in Dvitiya Vibhakti. So it is as an adjective, Prak Pratiharam is that which has a Pratiharaha Dwaraha, that which has an entrance in the east. So the main entrance would be in the east. Then Vipulam Vimana Rupam, the inner sanctum had an expansive Vimana, that is the Garbhagraham had a Vimanam on top of it. ekabhumam ityukte eka bhumihi yatra. There is only one talam. There is no multiple stories there where you go up to something and down. அதாவது இந்த குன்று மாதிரி இல்ல, அதாவது temple எல்லாம் சில some temples are built on hills where there will be 2-3 levels. இது போனேன்னா if you go to அது என்ன தாய்மானவர் சந்நிதி திருச்சி, in Tiruchirappalli, the entire temple has been built in the in a on a hill, right? So there are different levels to that temple. So Ganapati, usually there is one Ganapati at the bottom of that hill. There is another Ganapati at the top of the hill also. In between there is Swami and Abbalar in the middle there. Taimana Swami is there. So it's at different levels. Whereas here it is Eka Bhumihi Yatra. So which is had only one level. And then Karibihi Vidhritam Vimana Rupam. That Vimanam, expansive Vipulam Vimana Rupam, that expansive Vimana was being vidhritam. It was being held up by elephants. So there were sculptures of elephants as if they were holding up that Vimanam of the Garbhagraham, or the inner sanctum. Now the peaks of that inner sanctum were so high that it was as if it was touching the sky. Shikhara ullikhita ambaram. Shikharaihi, with its peaks, it was as if it was touching the sky. Ullikhitam sprishtam ambaram. The sky was touched by its peaks. Tadrisham garbhagraham saha shilpi vidadhe. So that sculptor constructed such an inner sanctum with an entrance to the east and an expansive vimana which was touching the sky with its peaks, and it had one level. That vimanam was also carried by some elephants. Okay. Vidhritam karibhir vimana rupam vipulam prak pratiharam ekabhumam shikarollikitambaram sashilpi vidadhe garbhagraham shubhe vilagne. Any questions? சொல்லுங்க சார். You can unmute yourself.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Elephant and சொல்லி முடிச்ச உடனே எனக்கு I was reminded of the temple in Madurai where சுந்தரேஸ்வரர் சுத்தி அஷ்டதிக் கஜங்கள் இருக்கும்.
அதேதான்.
அஷ்டதிக் கஜங்கள்.
It's so beautiful the way he is described. அப்படியே கண் முன்னாடி நிக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கு.
விக்ரம் இவர் விஸ்வகர்மா வந்து நின்னார் உடனேங்கிறது வந்து தமிழ்ல நம்ம எள்ளுன்னா எண்ணெயா இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம்.
நினைச்ச மாத்திரத்துல அங்க அப்படி. So true. Shankari Mother, you wanted to say something?
Namaste Mahodaya.
Namaste.
Ganam savrisham tatra vrisha nandi binnam nandikeshah binnah va.
No, nandi eva nandikeshah. Vrisha iti vrishabha vahanam. So न कुत्रचित् तु उभौ अपि समानौ इत्येव उक्तम् अस्ति, परन्तु there is a difference. So in many places people believe that Nandi is the vahanam for Shiva, but Nandi is not the vahanam for Shiva. Vrishabha is the vahanam for Shiva. Nandi is different. Nandi is more like the personal assistant. அதனால்தா நந்தி மேலேயும் போவர், vrishabha vahanamum உண்டு அவருக்கு, ரெண்டுமே உண்டு. But vahanamne edukarche it is only vrishabha vahanam. He also
mandireshu nandi ityeva kila mari brihadishwara mandiram brihadanandi evam
முன்னாடி பர்சனல் அசிஸ்டன்ட் உங்களுக்கு எப்பவுமே கூட இருக்கிறவர் நந்தி தான். அவர் ஃப்ரண்ட்ல இருப்பார். லிங்கத்துக்கு முன்னாடி இருக்கிறது நந்தி இருக்கும், கண்டிப்பா உண்டு. ஆனா உங்களுக்கு வந்து நந்திகேஸ்வரர் தனியா அவர் வந்து கணங்களுக்கெல்லாம் ஒரு இவரா இருக்கு. அவர் பிரதம பக்தர் மாதிரி, பிரகலாதன் மாதிரி. உங்களுக்கு உற்சவத்துல பார்த்தேன்னா அதிகார நந்தி கார்த்தால உண்டு. 7 மணிக்கு கார்த்தால உற்சவம் கபால கோவில்ல. ஆனா ரிஷப வாகனம்னு எடுக்கிறச்சு ராத்திரி உங்களுக்கு 12 மணிக்கு மேல 1 மணிக்கு ஆரம்பிக்கும் ரிஷப வாகனம்.
मन्दिरे दर्शनात् पूर्वं एकत्र अधिकारनन्दी तस्य अनुमतिं प्राप्य एव अस्माभिः शिवदर्शनं करणीयमिति वदन्ति. बहुषु मन्दिरेषु दृष्टवती अधिकारनन्दी चेत् सामान्यमुखं तादृशविग्रहः भवति किन्तु एषः भिन्नः नन्दी वाहनं पुरतः विद्यमाननन्दी भिन्नः वा इति मम संशयः
அதுதான் அது வந்து சம்டைம்ஸ் பீப்புள் ஜஸ்ட் மிக்ஸ் போத் அது வந்து நம்ம இட் டிபெண்ட்ஸ் வேணும்னா வந்து இது மேலயும் போவார் அது மேலயும் போவார் அப்படி
शिलादमुनेः पुत्रः इति
शिलादमुनेः पुत्रः तु नन्दिकेश्वरः एव स तु वाहनरूपेणापि स्वीकरोत्येव शिवः तत्र तत्र परन्तु वृषभवाहनः इति तत्र सेपरेट् भिन्नः एव
गणस्य
अधिकारी सः
इति तत्र शिवपुराणे आगच्छति तिरुमळपाडि इति क्षेत्रमस्ति तिरुवय्यारु तिरुमळपाडि तत्र एव शीलादमुनेः अस्ति पुनः नन्दिकेशस्य विवाहः सुयशा इति देव्या सह भवति तिरुमळपाडि शिवः अम्बा एव सुयशां स्वीकृत्य ददाति इति तिरुवय्यार् अय्यारप्पन् धर्मसंस्थाने एतस्य नन्दिकेशः पालितपुत्रः भवति तयोः बृहत् उत्सवः तत्र भविष्यति सप्तस्थान उत्सवः इति विवाहात् परं नयन्ति नन्दिकेशम् एवं वदन्ति एकत्र नन्दी एव पूर्णतया ऋग्वेदनन्दी यजुर्वेदनन्दी सामवेदनन्दी अथर्ववेदनन्दी इति तिरुमळपाडि क्षेत्रे अस्ति अपरत्र माणिकवाचकस्य तिरुपेरुन्दुरै आवुडेयार् कोविल् मध्ये नन्दिरेव न भवति यतः माणिकवाचकः एव नन्दिकेशस्य एव अवतारः इति
ஆமா இருக்கு அதிகாரமா அவருக்கு வந்து ஒரு he has that அந்த ஒரு அதிகாரம் அவர்தான் பர்மிஷன் கொடுத்துதான் உள்ள வர முடியுங்கிறது பல இடங்கள்ல இருக்கு ஈவன் இதுல குமார சம்பவத்துல கூட வருமே மூணாவது இந்த தேர்ட் சர்கா he says லதா கிரஹ துவாரகதோ அத நந்தி வாமப்பிரகோஷ்ட அர்ப்பித ஹேமவேத்ரா அதுக்கப்புறம் முகார்பிதைகாங்குல அங்குலி சம்யயா ஏவ மாச்சாபலாய இது கணான் வினைஷி விரல மூக்குல வச்சுட்டு அப்படின்பா அதுல அந்த கோல் இருக்குமோ இல்லையோ பெரம்ப வந்து அப்படி கை இடுக்குல வச்சுட்டு ஏய் சத்தம் படாத அப்படின்னு வரும் ஒரு the scene itself is very beautiful அந்த ஆமா
भवती उरुणोतु अहं श्रोतुम् इच्छामि बहु सम्यक् अस्ति
நந்திகேஸ்வரர் தானே ராவணன் கேலி ஏதோ சொல்லி மாட்டின்ட்டான்
கரெக்ட் சாபம் நந்தியோட சாபம்
நந்தி வாகனம் இஸ் I think I heard you guys say that it is not different from ரிஷப வாகனம்
இல்ல அப்படி இல்ல அதாவது நந்தி தனி ரிஷபா தனி ரிஷபம் வாகனம்ங்கிறது தனியா இருக்கு நந்தி மேலையும் அவர் வந்து போகிறவர் இருக்கு ஏன்னா நந்தி தன்னுடைய முதுக வந்து கொடுக்கிறார் பகவானுடைய ஒரு ஸ்பர்ஷம் படணும்னு அவர் வேண்டிண்டு கேட்டுக்கிறார் அதுவும் இருக்கு
வந்து எனக்கு என்ன தோன்றதுன்னாக்கா ஆதிசேஷன் வந்து போகும்போது கொடையா இருந்தா படுத்துக்கும் போது படுக்கையா இருந்தா அப்படின்லாம் இருக்க மாதிரி நந்தி பகவானும் பண்றதாக நம்ம எடுத்துக்கலாம்னு தோன்றது
பகவானுக்கு வந்து ரெண்டு கார் இருக்க கூடாதான் நமக்கே கிடைச்சு பகவானுக்கு வந்து ரெண்டு வாகனம் இருக்கலாம் நினைச்சேன் வேற ஒண்ணு ஐ மீன் பட் பிரதானமாக he goes only on the ரிஷபம் அதுதான் பிரதானம் நந்தி வந்து எப்பாவது ஒரு தடவை மோர் லைக் காட் பாடி கார்ட் पर्सनल बॉडीगार्ड ना
प्रदोषकाले एवं गायन्ति महोदय तमिळ् भाषया शिवबेरुमान् मुन्नमर्ந்த नन्दिकेश्वरा महाशिवकटाक्षं पेररुल्वी ऋषभदीश्वरा एवं नन्दिकेश्वरा ऋषभदीश्वरा द्वयं मिश्रित्य गायन्ति
ஆமா ஆமா
இருக்கு வந்து திருமூலர் வந்து he refers to Shiva as Nandi himself
शिलादमुनेः पुत्रः अपि एवमेव तत्र अस्ति शिवस्य अवतारः एव
அவதாரஹாவாதான். ஆமா, அவருடைய அம்சமா தானே. இப்ப எப்படி ஜஸ்ட் as how we say பல்ராமா is the அம்சா of கிருஷ்ணா, பிரத்யும்னன் வந்து அம்சம் தானே. பிரத்யும்னன் வந்து கிருஷ்ணனுடைய பிள்ளையா இருந்தாலும் அனிருத்தன், பிரத்யும்னன் இவெல்லாம் வந்து கிருஷ்ணனுடைய அம்சாவதாரங்கள்னு தானே சொல்றோம். அதே போலதான் பகவானுடைய பிள்ளைன்னு எடுத்துண்டு சிவனுடைய ஒரு அம்சம் தானே. அகஸ்தியர் வந்து அவருடைய அம்சம் தானே. அந்த மாதிரி துர்வாசரும் அவருடைய அம்சம் தான்.
எல்லாருமே அவருடைய அம்சம் தான்.
அது அது
உச்சி பிள்ளையார் ஸ்டோரியில சொல்லுவா, விபீஷ்ணன் வந்து அந்த ரங்கநாதர் சம்படத்தை வச்சுக்க சொல்லுவாராம் பிள்ளையார்கிட்ட. இது இன்னொரு கதையும் இருக்கு. இவர் வந்து வெயிட் பண்றார், வரல, திரும்பி வரல விஷ்ணு சொல்லிட்டு தரையில வச்சுட்டு போயிட்டாராம். மலையில போய் உட்காந்துட்டாராம். உச்சி பிள்ளையார் மலையில உட்காந்துட்டாராம். அதனால விபீஷ்ணன் வந்து உச்சி பிள்ளையார் தலையில ஒரு குட்டு கூட்டிட்டு போனாராம். ஓகே, இன்னைக்கு அந்த குட்டினுடைய பதிவை பார்க்கலாம் அப்படின்னு
பதிவு இருக்குங்கிற. Interesting.
10 years just below the temple. So,
oh wow. Okay.
धन्यवादाः.
Namaste. Any other questions? I hope it's not there. Okay.
சிவனை பத்தி படிக்கும்போது இந்திரன் அடைந்த புலகாங்கிதம் நானும் அடைந்தேன்.
नम सुंदरनाथाय तस्मै हालास्य वासिने चतुष्षष्टि विधालीला येनाकारि भुवस्थले. नमस्ते.